Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always exciting to dig into something new.
This time, we're going to take a look at a bash script that can turn a plain Ubuntu install into a real powerhouse for AI development.
Yeah, pretty cool what this little script can do. It automates so much the setup process.
And that's particularly great for, those who are just starting out in AI development. It's like having a senior dev looking over your shoulder.
Absolutely, especially when you might not be super familiar with all the tools and configurations.
Right. Okay, so let's jump in. This script starts off by asking you to create a new username and a strong password.
Yeah, good place to start. Security is so important, especially with AI development, where you're often dealing with sensitive data, maybe valuable models. It's like locking the door to your AI workshop.
I like that analogy. You're protecting all the cool stuff you're going to create.
hmm
And speaking of foundations, the next thing the script does is update and upgrade the system.
The basics, but hey, crucial, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But why is it so essential, especially for AI development?
Well, AI is like built on this ecosystem of tools and libraries that are constantly evolving. So updating Ubuntu, it makes sure you have the newest versions, bug fixes, security patches, the whole deal.
Makes sense. It's like making sure all your tools are sharpened and ready to go before you start building.
Exactly.
Now let's get to the fun part, the tools. This script installs a bunch of essential components.
Yeah.
Build essential, reget, curl, git, unzip, Python essentials like vins and pip, and libvins server dev.
Okay, a lot to unpack there, but they're all critical in their own way. Take Git, for example.
Oh yeah, version control. Every developer's best friend.
Right. It helps you track all the changes you make to your code. You can experiment, go back to previous versions, even collaborate with others without, messing everything up.
Like a time machine for your code.
Yeah.
Especially helpful when you're learning, making mistakes, and figuring things out. It's a lifesaver.
For sure. Then you have pip, which is how you install Python packages. And Python, well, that's kind of the bread and butter of a lot of AI work.
Right. So pip lets you easily add all those specialized libraries for machine learning, deep learning, visualization, the whole 9 yards.
You got it.
You mentioned venv too. What's that all about?
Virtual environments. Super useful when you're working on multiple AI projects. It lets you create these isolated spaces on your system so different projects don't interfere with each other.
Like separate workbenches for each project.
Exactly. You don't want your tools from one project messing up another.
Makes sense. There's one more I'm curious about. Libvent server dev. Why is that installed?
That's the foundation for remote access. It lets you control your Ubuntu machine from another device.
Wait, so I could be working on my AI projects from anywhere. That sounds amazing.
It is, and it's super helpful for AI development, especially when you start working with larger data sets and more complex models.
So I could be like sitting on a beach somewhere and still training my AI models on a powerful Ubuntu machine. Sign me up.
That's the idea. It gives you so much flexibility. Plus, for a new developer, it means you can access more powerful resources, even if your own computer isn't, top of the line.
I'm loving this script already. We've got security, updates, essential tools, remote access. It's really setting a new AI developer up for success.
And there's more. This script also installs things like Google Chrome, Java, and Guacamole. Even takes care of some visual customization.
Hold on, visual customization. I thought we were talking about, hardcore AI development here.
We are, but creating a comfortable and personalized environment is important too. Chrome's great for research and documentation, Java gets used in certain AI frameworks, and the visual tweaks, well, they just make it feel like your AI workstation.
Okay, I get it. It's like setting up your workspace, making it feel inviting.
Exactly. It might seem like a small thing, but it can make a big difference in how you feel when you're working.
I love that attention to detail. It shows that this script really wants you to succeed, not just in terms of the technical stuff, but in feeling good while you're doing it.
It's about the whole experience, and that's something often overlooked when we talk about setting up a development environment.
This is already so cool. And we haven't even gotten to Guacamole and VNC yet. I can't wait to hear more about those.
Me neither. They're game changers, for sure.
Let's take a quick break and come back to dive into that.
All right, welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how libvent server dev sets up that foundation for remote access. Remember, that's key, especially for new AI developers.
Yeah, still can't get over the idea of training AI models from like a coffee shop or something. Super cool.
Right, so the script goes a step further and installs two tools for this, Guacamole and VNC.
Okay, so two tools. Why both? What's the difference?
Good question. So VNC stands for Virtual Network Computing, And it basically gives you a virtual window into your Ubuntu desktop.
So I can see everything on my remote machine like I'm sitting right in front of it.
Exactly. You can control the mouse, keyboard, everything. Perfect for running those graphical applications, visualizing data, all that good stuff.
Got it. So VNC is for when you need that full desktop experience. What about Guacamole then?
Guacamole is more like a web-based gateway to your machine.
Web-based. So I don't need to install anything special on my local machine.
Nope. It runs on a web server called Tomcat. You just open a web page, log in, and boom, you're connected to your Ubuntu desktop.
That's incredibly convenient. I could be on my phone, tablet, anything with a web browser, and I still have access to my powerful AI workstation.
Exactly. And for new developers, this is a game changer. You can learn and experiment from anywhere without being tied to one specific computer.
Yeah, no more excuses about not having enough computing power. It's like having your own personal AI supercomputer in the cloud.
Pretty much. And it really highlights how important it is to have this kind of setup from the beginning. It just removes so many barriers to entry.
Okay, so we've got VNC for when we need that full desktop experience, and Guacamole for accessing our machine from anywhere. Both pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And both set up automatically by this script.
Now, there's one more thing about this script that really stands out to me, the customization aspect. It lets you personalize your Ubuntu setup, like adding your own username, password, even a custom logo.
Yeah. It might seem like a small detail, but customizing your workspace can have a big impact on your motivation and productivity.
How so? I mean, it's just a command line environment, right?
Sure, but think about it. When you personalize your workspace, it becomes more than just a tool. It becomes your space, a place where you feel comfortable and inspired to create.
I get it. It's like having your own personalized office or studio instead of just a generic cubicle. It feels more like yours.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
Exactly. And for a new AI developer, that sense of ownership can be really empowering.
Like, this is my AI workstation. I'm in control here.
Exactly. It encourages you to explore, experiment, and really make it your own.
I love that. So this script isn't just about giving you the tools. It's about creating a whole experience, a positive one that makes you excited to dive into AI development.
That's a great way to put it. And it's something we often overlook when we talk about setting up development environments.
Well, I'm sold. This script sounds amazing. Security, essential tools, remote access, customization. It's like the ultimate starter pack for any aspiring AI developer.
It really is. And all of this is done automatically, saving you so much time and hassle.
Speaking of time, one crucial step we haven't touched on yet is rebooting the system. Why is that so important?
Think of it like this. Rebooting is like hitting the refresh button. It makes sure all those changes the script made are fully implemented, kind of like sealing the deal.
So after that reboot, my Ubuntu machine is ready to go, transformed into a full-blown AI workstation.
Exactly. Ready for you to start learning, experimenting, and building your own amazing AI projects.
Perfect. And with that, I think we've covered pretty much everything this script has to offer. But, a new AI developer might be wondering, okay, I've run the script, rebooted my machine, now what? What advice would you give them?
That's where the real fun begins. My advice, dive in. Explore those Python libraries we talked about. Start with some simple examples, get comfortable with the tools, and then gradually work your way up to more complex projects. There are tons of great resources online to help you along the way.
Like, where should they start looking? Any specific websites or platforms you recommend?
Oh, definitely. Kaggle is a great place to find data sets and learn from others. Coursera has fantastic courses on all aspects of AI, and of course there are tons of blogs and YouTube channels dedicated to AI education.
So much to explore. The key is to find what works for you, right? What clicks with your learning style.
Absolutely. AI is a constantly evolving field, so embrace that, stay curious, keep learning, and don't be afraid to experiment.
Love that advice. So we've gone from a plain Ubuntu install to a fully configured AI powerhouse, all thanks to this amazing Bash script.
And hopefully we've inspired some new developers to take the plunge and start exploring the world of AI.
I think we have. And it's incredible how something as simple as a Bash script can have such a big impact. It's a reminder that automation can be incredibly powerful when used thoughtfully.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about removing those barriers and making technology more accessible to everyone.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today, but hopefully it's been an insightful journey.
Absolutely. We've explored the script itself, talked about its benefits for new AI developers, and even touched on some broader themes like the importance of customization and in the role of automation in the future of development.
It's been a great conversation. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you've learned something new and feel inspired to explore the amazing world of AI. Until next time, happy coding. We spent this deep dive talking about how awesome this bash script is for setting up an AI workstation, especially for someone new to all this.
Yeah, it's like the perfect on-ramp.
Totally. But I'm kind of curious, what about Teams? Like in a professional setting, could this script actually be too helpful?
Oh, that's a really interesting question because at first glance, you'd think automation, awesome. Everyone gets set up quickly, same tools, easy peasy, right?
Streamline everything, saves time, effort, all that.
But there's a potential downside, and it comes down to consistency. If everyone's using the script to set up their Ubuntu workstation, but everyone's tweaking it to their liking.
I see what you mean. You end up with 20 different versions of what's supposed to be a standard setup.
Exactly. And suddenly, collaboration becomes a nightmare. Troubleshooting, forget about it. Whose custom settings broke the build this time? It becomes a real headache.
So, standardization. Kind of a boring word, but super important in a team setting.
For sure. So the question for Teams isn't should we use the script, but how do we use it strategically?
Right, so maybe adapt the script, make sure everyone gets the same core configuration, but leaves a little room for, personal preferences.
Yeah, think of it like building a house. Everyone gets the same foundation, the same framing, but they can choose their own paint color.
I like that analogy. Still have some creative freedom, but within a framework that keeps things, sane.
Exactly. And this brings up another crucial point, especially for professional teams: security.
Right, because this script, as it is, asks for a custom username and password, but that might not cut it in a more sensitive environment.
Definitely not. You might need integration with existing authentication systems, access control for specific data, all those layers.
So it's not just about the script itself, it's how it fits into a larger security strategy.
Exactly. Can't just have anyone spinning up an AI workstation with access to everything just because they ran a script. Way too risky.
Makes sense. So it's like this powerful tool, this bash script, it's amazing, but it needs to be used carefully, thoughtfully, especially in a team setting.
Totally. And this actually highlights a broader point about automation in general. It's not a magic solution, it needs human guidance.
Human intelligence to go with artificial intelligence, huh?
Couldn't have said it better myself. We need to think about the goals, the potential pitfalls, the big picture. And that applies to AI development, but really any field where automation's becoming a big deal.
Well said. So it's like automation is cool, it can be super helpful, but it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Definitely not. It's about using these tools strategically to make our lives easier, but also being aware of, the human element. We still need to be in control.
This has been a fascinating conversation. I think what I'm taking away is that setting up an AI development environment, or really any development environment, it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about understanding the human needs, whether it's a single developer or a whole team.
And as AI keeps evolving, as new tools pop up, these considerations are only going to become more important. It's all about adapting, learning, finding that right balance between automation and, just good old-fashioned human thinking.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. We've covered a lot today, from the specifics of this bash script to some broader thoughts about automation and the future of AI development.
And hopefully, we've given everyone listening something to think about. Whether you're a seasoned AI pro or just starting out, it's an exciting time to be in this field.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new, got inspired, and are ready to go out there and build some awesome AI stuff. Until next time, happy coding.
Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a closer look at Dallas Solomon Urban and his company, Temporal Labs LLC.
Well, this should be a good one.
Yeah, and we've got a pretty impressive pile of information to sift through. A resume, a pitch deck, we even snagged an interview.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna try to piece together, like who this guy is, what his company is all about.
And how it all fits into this whole, like, evolving AI landscape.
Exactly. And ultimately, what it could all mean for us, everyday folks.
The big picture. I like it.
All right, so let's start with the man himself, Dallas Urban. His resume is, well, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's like a founder, designer, developer, and an artist. Is there anything this guy can't do?
Seriously. And then you look at his skill set, over 12,000 hours in AI, expertise in 3D modeling, cloud infrastructure, Python automation.
Don't forget brand strategy. He even lists brand strategy.
Right, like this isn't just your typical tech bro,
No, this is someone who gets it.
Yeah.
Like the big picture, how technology, how it connects with everything, like business, even art.
And his resume goes all the way back to 2014.
So he's not just like jumping on the AI bandwagon now that it's trendy. He's been in this game for a while.
Yeah, he's been thinking deeply about these issues for a while, which makes me even more curious about his company, Temporal Labs LLC.
Well, their pitch deck describes them as Utah Valley's certified AI specialists.
Catchy, right. But then we found this document called Temporal Labs LLC, Temporal Portal, Pioneering Innovation.
And things get a lot more interesting.
So tell me, what caught your eye?
Well, the fact that Temporal Labs has these two sides, it's like a two-sided coin,
Okay, I like this coin analogy.
So on one side you have what they call the developer side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where like all these AI developers can come and create and deploy their tools.
Got it.
And then on the other side you have this like innovator side where it's like businesses and just regular people can go and request like custom AI solutions.
Interesting. So they've got like a platform for building the tools and a marketplace for connecting like the developers with the people who need them.
Yeah,
Yum.
exactly. And the cool part is that the developers, they get access to what Dallas calls the temporal processor.
The temporal processor. What is it? Some kind of supercomputer.
It's basically like this cloud-based AI development environment.
So like developers can like work on their projects from anywhere.
Exactly. And because it's built on AWS, they've got access to all kinds of, pre-built modules and resources.
Ah, so it's all about like collaboration, making it easier for these developers to, work together and build cool stuff.
And that's a big part of Dallas's philosophy, this whole idea of user-centered development.
Yeah.
He really emphasizes this like feedback loop between the innovators and the developers.
Because it's not just a one-way street. The people requesting the solutions are actively involved in the development process.
Exactly. So it's not just like, some tech company dictating what people need. It's much more collaborative.
I like that. Okay, so we've got the two sides of the company, but what about Dallas himself? Like,
Yeah.
why AI? What's his motivation?
Well, in the interview, he talks about how he was already working in tech, but then he saw the potential of AI and just felt like this, this pull to shift his focus.
So it wasn't just like a business decision, it was something deeper.
Right, like a calling almost.
So was it all about, the money, the fame, the typical Silicon Valley stuff?
Actually, no. And that's what I find so interesting about Dallas. He's not interested in building some global empire.
Oh.
He's really focused on bringing AI to the local level, specifically Utah Valley. He talks about localized solutions for a localized infrastructure.
So he's not trying to take over the world. He's trying to make a difference in his own backyard.
Exactly, and you see this in everything he does, this emphasis on tailored solutions, moving away from those, cookie cutter approaches.
It's like he wants to create AI that fits the community, not the other way around. But isn't he like limiting himself by focusing so narrowly? Isn't the whole point of technology to scale to reach as many people as possible?
That's a good question, and we'll definitely dive deeper into that later on. But I think it's important to understand that for Dallas, it's not just about, building a successful business. It's about using AI to actually make a difference in the lives of the people around him.
So he's prioritizing impact over scale.
It seems that way, yeah. And this commitment to individualized solutions, it really comes up again and again in all of our source materials. It really emphasizes the importance of moving away from those cookie cutter solutions and creating tools that are specifically designed to address the unique challenges and opportunities facing each individual or business.
So it's like he's building bespoke AI suits, custom tailored for each client, No more one-size-fits-all algorithms. But this brings up a question for me. What are the practical applications of this approach? We've got this list of services that Temporal Labs offers, and it's huge E. He's got everything from CRM setup and automation to data analytics, website development, even AI voice synthesis and personalized songs. Like, how does all of that fit into this vision of localized, individualized AI?
That's where it gets really interesting. I think that's a perfect place to pick up in our next part. So yeah, that list of services, it's a pretty good indicator of, how Dallas is trying to translate this like grand vision into something practical, something that people can actually use.
Okay, so walk me through it. What are some of the highlights? What caught your attention?
Well, he's got everything from like, the basics like CRM setup, automation, data analytics, stuff that businesses need to, run smoothly.
Right, the nuts and bolts.
But then he's also got these like more out there things like AI voice synthesis and get this, personalized songs.
Personalized songs, like AI-generated jingles for your business.
Exactly. Or like imagine, a birthday song with your name in it, generated by AI.
That's pretty wild. But it also speaks to his commitment to personalization, right? It's not just about, automating tasks, it's about creating unique experiences.
Yeah, and I think that's what sets him apart. He's not just trying to replicate what's already out there. He's trying to push the boundaries of what AI can do.
Okay, so we've got the practical applications, but let's talk about his vision for the future. I mean, he's mentioned some pretty futuristic concepts like robotics, automation, even digital cloning. It all sounds very sci-fi, but I'm curious to know how he sees these like seemingly disparate concepts fitting into his overall strategy.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to unpack. He's talking about a world where AI and robotics are like seamlessly integrated into our everyday lives.
So like robots doing our chores, making our meals.
Well, he definitely sees a role for robots in, like automating those kind of mundane tasks. But it goes beyond that. He's talking about robots working alongside humans in all sorts of fields like healthcare, education, even creative industries.
So it's not about replacing humans, it's about augmenting our abilities, helping us to be more efficient, more productive.
Exactly. And I think that's a key point. It's not about, AI versus humans. It's about AI and humans working together.
Yeah, kind of like a partnership, each playing to their strengths.
Right. And Ethan talks about this concept of like psyche digitization, which is basically like creating digital representations of our personalities, our memories, our experiences.
Hold on, digital representations of our psyches. Isn't that getting a little too Black Mirror for you?
It definitely raises some ethical questions, for sure. But I think it's important to remember that we're still in the very early stages of AI development. We're just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible.
That's true. I mean, who knows what the future holds, right? But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. We were talking about his Pioneer Clients program. He's offering these incredible packages tailored to specific industries like Utah barbershops and AI solutions developers. I'm really curious to know more about those, like what kind of AI solutions is he cooking up for barbers?
So the barbershop package, it's called Temporal Edge for Barbershops. And it's all about like optimizing the business side of things.
Okay, so how does it work?
Well, for one thing, it includes an online booking system with real-time availability updates. So, no more phone calls back and forth, no more double booking.
Ah, that's a game changer.
And it also includes automated reminders to minimize no-shows.
Smart. What else?
Oh, and it's got this AI-powered virtual assistant that can handle appointment scheduling 24/7.
No more missed calls because you're in the middle of a haircut.
Exactly. Plus, this virtual assistant can answer FAQs and even provide personalized marketing recommendations.
So it's like having a superpowered receptionist and marketing guru all in one.
And for only $150 a month.
That's a steal. What about the package for AI solutions developers? What's in the Innovators Forge?
So the Innovators Forge, it's basically like the ultimate toolkit for, anyone who wants to dive into AI development, whether they're, just starting out or they're already experienced.
Sounds intense.
For $300 a month, developers get access to that temporal processor we talked about earlier.
The cloud-based workstation.
Right, and it comes preloaded with all the essential AI and machine learning tools, so, no more messing around with complex setups or, paying for expensive software licenses.
So he's basically removing all the barriers to entry.
Exactly. And he's also really big on collaboration. So the package includes things like real-time collaborative coding environments, project management tools, and access to a huge library of APIs and datasets.
It's like he's created this AI playground for developers.
And that's a big part of his vision, to create this self-sustaining ecosystem where, developers can collaborate, innovate, and ultimately drive the field of AI forward.
I'm impressed. But all of this sounds incredibly complex and ambitious. Like, how is he actually pulling this off? Is he some kind of coding wizard?
Well, he's definitely got the technical chops, but he's also incredibly methodical and detail-oriented. Remember that parameters document we mentioned? He's using that to gather like a crazy amount of information from his potential clients.
Like, what kind of information?
Oh, everything from their company models, industry trends, personal values, even their psychographic profiles.
Psychographic profiles. That's getting pretty deep.
Yeah, but he's trying to understand his clients on like a deeper level, so he can create solutions that are truly tailored to their needs, their goals, even their aspirations.
It's like he's building AI with a heart, not just a brain.
Exactly.
Well-
And that's what makes his approach so compelling.
Okay, so he's got the vision, he's got the technical skills, he's clearly passionate about what he's doing. But this is still a business, right? And building a business, especially one as ambitious as Temporal Labs, is no easy feat. So what are some of the challenges he might face as he tries to, bring his vision to life?
Yeah, there are definitely going to be some bumps in the road. I mean, the AI field is moving so fast, it's constantly evolving. What's cutting edge today could be obsolete tomorrow.
So how does he stay ahead of the curve?
Well, he's going to have to be super adaptable, constantly learning, experimenting, always pushing the boundaries.
Always be learning. That's good advice for all of us, really.
And then there's the challenge of like finding and keeping top talent. I mean, as AI gets more and more popular, the demand for skilled developers and engineers is just going to skyrocket.
So it's not enough to have a great idea. He's also got to create a work environment that attracts the best and brightest minds.
Yeah, and I think he's already thinking about that. Remember how he talked about, offering his team meaningful ways to contribute?
He's not just looking for employees, he's looking for people who share his passion, his vision for the future.
Exactly. But even with the best team in the world, there's always a chance that, things won't go as planned.
So what are some of the potential pitfalls? What could derail his vision?
Well, one of the biggest risks is that, the market for this hyper-localized approach, it might be smaller than he thinks.
So what if Utah Valley just isn't ready for AI? What if they're not willing to embrace these solutions?
Yeah, and even if there is demand,
Yeah.
he's still got to convince people that his tailored solutions are worth the investment. Especially when he's competing with, these big companies offering cheaper, off-the-shelf solutions.
So he's really going up against the Goliaths of the tech world.
He is. And then there's always the risk of technological disruption, right? What if some new technology comes along and completely changes the game?
So it's not just about building a better mousetrap, it's about building a mousetrap that people actually want and that can withstand the test of time.
Exactly. It's a tough road, but I think Dallas is up for the challenge.
Listening to you talk about him, I'm starting to see why we chose him for this deep dive. There's something really inspiring about his story. This small-town techie with this big vision, going against the grain, forging his own path. It's like a classic underdog story, but with a futuristic twist. But before we get too carried away with the big picture, there's one more detail I want to explore, this YouTube transcriber project he mentioned. What's that all about?
Oh, that's a great example of, how he's using his skills to develop these practical tools that can benefit others.
So tell me more.
So it's basically this Python-based program that automatically transcribes YouTube videos.
Cool.
And it can even differentiate between multiple speakers. He's using it to create these high-quality transcripts and audio files that can be used for, all sorts of things.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, it's great for accessibility, creating subtitles and captions for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. But it can also be used for, training AI models, building knowledge bases, even creating educational materials.
It's like he's democratizing access to information, making it easier for everyone to learn and share knowledge.
And I think that's a really important part of his vision, using AI, not just for profit or, control, but for good, for making the world a better place.
Okay, so we've got the YouTube transcriber, which is cool and practical. But he also mentioned something about his approach being a model for other communities. Like, how does he see that happening?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And it leads us to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore the broader implications of Dallas's work and whether this hyper-local approach to AI can really scale beyond Utah Valley. So about Dallas's vision for scaling beyond Utah Valley, it's not about, franchising or creating some kind of Temporal Labs empire.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's more about empowerment. He wants to give other communities the tools and the knowledge they need to build their own localized AI ecosystems.
So he's like what do you call it, a thought leader, a trailblazer.
Yeah, something like that. He's creating this blueprint, this model that others can follow and, adapt to their own unique circumstances.
Got it. So it's not about, imposing his vision on everyone. It's about inspiring them to create their own visions.
Exactly. And I think that's a really powerful idea. It's like instead of this top-down approach where, some big tech company comes in and says, "Hey, here's the solution, take it or leave it."
Right.
It's about giving the power back to the people, letting them decide what they need, what works best for them.
So it's like a grassroots movement almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's about empowering communities to build the future they want, not the future that some, Silicon Valley executive thinks they should have.
I like that. But let's be realistic for a second. Can this like hyper-local approach really compete with the big guys? The Googles, the Microsofts of the world. I mean, they've got the resources, the infrastructure, the reach.
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. But I think there are some definite advantages to this, like smaller, more agile approach.
Like what?
Well, for one thing, it allows for a lot more customization. Dallas can really get to know his clients, understand their specific needs, and build solutions that are tailored to those needs.
So it's like the difference between, I don't know, like buying a suit off the rack versus getting one custom made.
Yeah, exactly. And with the big companies, it's often like, one size fits all, take it or leave it.
Right, and sometimes one size just doesn't fit all.
And then there's the issue of like responsiveness. With a smaller company, it's much easier to adapt, to change, to incorporate feedback, to pivot when necessary.
So they can be more nimble, more like on the ground.
Exactly. Whereas these big companies, they can be kind of slow-moving, bureaucratic,
Yeah, like trying to turn a battleship around, right?
But of course, there are also challenges to this approach.
Right.
Well, for one thing, it can be tough to scale. If you're focusing on just one small community, it can be hard to, grow your business and reach a wider audience.
Right, it's like a mom and pop shop versus a Walmart, right?
Yeah, kind of. And then there's the challenge of funding. These big companies, they have billions of dollars to throw around, whereas a small startup like Temporal Labs, they have to be a lot more resourceful.
Yeah, they're definitely playing in a different league.
But, despite all the challenges, there's something really inspiring about what Dallas is doing.
Yeah, it's like he's David going up against Goliath, except in this case, David is armed with algorithms and cloud computing.
And I think that's a really important story to tell.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that innovation doesn't just happen in like Silicon Valley or these big tech hubs.
It can happen anywhere if you've got the vision, the passion, and the willingness to take risks.
Exactly. And I think that's a really hopeful message, especially for people who are, outside of those traditional centers of power.
It's like he's saying, hey, you don't have to be a tech giant to make a difference in the world of AI.
Right. And you don't have to wait for someone else to solve your problems. You can build the solutions yourself with the help of your community.
And who knows, maybe those solutions will end up changing the world.
Well, that's a pretty inspiring note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the nuts and bolts of Temporal Labs to the broader implications of Dallas's vision for the future of AI.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
We've talked about the challenges, the risks, but also the incredible potential of this hyper-local, human-centered approach to AI.
And I think we can all agree that Dallas Solomon Urban is a force to be reckoned with, a true pioneer in the AI landscape.
Absolutely. So as you go about your day, we encourage you to think about what you've learned today. How might AI impact your own industry, your own community? And what role do you want to play in shaping its future?
Because the future of AI, it's not something that's just happening to us, it's something that we're all creating together. And that's a pretty exciting thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Dallas Solomon Urban and Temporal Labs, LLC. We'll see you next time.
For light bulbs, crystal goblets, or whatever, the Simbil Picayune is the best for packing and wrapping. And with little or no news, there's little or no waste. Buy one today.
This is a public service announcement. Be sure to rinse thoroughly when so instructed on shampoo bottles.
Believe me, there's nothing like a refreshing bottle of frozen glacier water. Some waters taste, well, watery, but frozen glacier has a bold, hearty taste that really stands out. Frozen glacier, water, and more.
want the best for my family, so for vacuum-packed bricks of military surplus nutritional substitutes, I go to One-Eyed Bob's, where clerks double bag on request. Follow the fog till you run out of gas, then turn left. Bob's.
This is a bulletin from the Picayune Interurban News Service. The immense orange ball seen rising over the eastern horizon early this morning is expected to fall slowly towards the west sometime in the evening. No injuries have been reported, and rumors of panic have been greatly exaggerated. Scientists are calling it a phenomena and advise citizens to prepare for reoccurrence in the very near future. This is a bulletin from the Picayune Interurban News Service. The contraption recently seen in the city skies is not, repeat not, a UFO. It has actually been identified as a flying saucer from outer space. Citizens are advised to panic, loot, and otherwise cause as much destruction. Correction. Citizens are urged to walk, not run, to the nearest exit.
Those folks at SimLife Industries have done it again, with their delightful blend of toucans, wallabies, and stegosauruses. Genetically engineered, handcrafted, and corn-fed, they make wonderful pets. And these creatures are just the latest in a long line of unique and unusual animals. SimLife Industries, building whatever it takes.
leaves in 3 hours, and our loss is your gain. Prices so low we're in trouble with federal agencies. Landing gear hangar fixtures out the door for less than cost, and the 18-wheeler heading north toward out of state. Be there.
Want the best in modern city living? Look no further. SimTower offers high-rise luxury condos at attractive prices. Stores, restaurants, and entertainment all under one very tall roof. And spacious, usually roach-free hotel suites. SimTower. Tall enough to block the sun, small enough to be your home. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. If you are within the sound of my voice, you are urged to panic, loot, and cause as much destruction as possible. Remember, this is only a test.
Are you confused by all the deodorants available? Help is as close as the nearest can of Orville Stink Away. Works gently and is guaranteed to be at least no worse than what you're using now. If unsatisfied, return and use portion for store credit.
Attention, pilots. Have you been crashing into buildings? Have speeders been getting on the interstate and disappearing? Denim that's rough against your skin can rob you of your competitive edge. But a little soft and felt in the rinse cycle can give it back.
The SimBank is eager to help you. For the next few days, SimBank loan officers will have pens and paper at their desk so you can fill out applications easier and faster.
SimBank, not affiliated with any legitimate financial institutions.
cat is finicky, so when I heard about Mr. Fuzzy's mouse tail and asparagus flavor, I was skeptical. Well, my cat likes it so much, he's learned to use the can opener. And I like it too. Mr. Fuzzy's is really the cat's meow.
This is a public service announcement. When flying, pay no attention to public service announcements.